What's going on?
I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon. I got eyes in the back of my head, I'm seeing. Take me for granted and you know I'm leaving. I'ma take what's mine with the webs I'm weaving. I could take this crowd from seeing to believing. Got a taste for blood and my tongue keeps bleeding. From the words I spit, so sharp, so freezing, so cold. Behold, frostbite they feeling. I could tear you apart or I could go heal them. Don't believe in fate, don't believe in ceilings. I just need a taste and my mind starts feeling. I don't pace myself, I grind on kneeling. Got lust for change, I just love the feeling. I ain't gonna give up. Got too little time, I'ma live up. Head down, push forward through the tough times. Cause anything worth doing is a tough climb. I ain't gonna give up. Got too little time, I'ma live up. Head down, push forward through the tough times. Cause anything worth doing is a tough climb. Cause I'ma live life for the fight, yeah, I'm here to get it. I got drive, got sight, always have a vision. I go by at night, I be in my feelings. I'ma be fine, need time, and I'll still be winning. I live life for the fight, yeah, I'm here to get it. I got drive, got sight, always have a vision. I go by at night, I be in my feelings. I'ma be fine, need time, and I'll still be winning. I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon. I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon.
Howdy do.
The camera's working.
Yeah.
I'm not frozen. It's not a black screen. Just kidding. It's working just fine. Welcome, everybody, to Dead or Live on the Dead or Full Spectrum channel. It is our Sunday night live show for the next 2 hours in and around the topic of the paranormal and all of its wonderful stems of the umbrella. And we are here tonight. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Those in the chat already kicking it with responses back and forth, saying hello to everybody. And we are so thrilled to have you guys. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Also, the reminder bell for upcoming content and the thumbs up. Very important for the algorithm. So we want to see the little thumb. You don't see it, but we'll see it up on the screen. Little thumb and a number growing right next to it. So make sure you guys hit that thumbs up to be sure. Yeah, it's working. And for those of you who know, especially our Patreon members, I've been going through hell for the last 2-3 weeks with my computer and not being able to do the show without freezing up or just going black screen. And then I would have to log off, reboot, come back again. Are you ready for the problem? Are you guys ready? I had to uninstall and reinstall Google because sometimes Google gets glitchy. 30 plus Dell technicians over the past month. And nobody said, maybe just uninstall, reinstall Google.
The first thing the Geek Squad tells you, have you tried rebooting?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we at this point in time seem to be on par, which is wonderful because we've got a great show for you guys tonight, and things are going well. You've been busy, Ken.
I have. There's much to do around the house. The weather is turning and things to do, videos to make, editing to do. So a new Patreon Paranormal Academy. I dropped one in there yesterday. Hope that you all got that. It concerned how to talk to spirits and covers a lot of aspects of that. So hope you enjoyed that. But, it's just been one of those weeks, but it's good busy. It's good work and I enjoy it. So hello, everyone. Welcome. once again to Sunday night, as George says, we have a fun show for you. And once again, we're going to bring some people on to introduce you to them. And, hopefully that you will follow them as time goes on again. So always excited to do that.
Now, quick question for you, Ken. Because
Yes, sir.
this newest Extremely Strange, what is the topic behind that one?
Oh, the latest Extremely Strange has to do with the Devil Made Me Do It case in Brookfield, Connecticut, which is Warren's case that resulted in a murder that went to court, and they tried the Devil Made Me Do It defense, which got bounced out of there real quick. So it is it's an iconic case. It's it's decades old, but it's still relevant in so many ways. So enjoyed doing it, and hopefully we showed it from a couple of different angles, the pros and the cons. And I thank you very much for that, guys. It's I had a lot of fun doing it.
And for those of you who initially thought tonight's guests were Brian and Rochelle, we had to make a quick change to that. I think you posted about it, Ken, correct?
Yeah, what happened? I beg your pardon. What happened was Brian called away to a family dinner, so we had to reschedule. Family comes first, so we will revisit them this week, reschedule. So they will be coming on at some point, but sometimes those things happen to each and every one of us. But family always first, and hope they're enjoying their dinner with each other. So Brian, Rochelle, or Brichelle, as they are known, will be joining us sometime in the very near future.
Now, speaking of family, we have some family to introduce on our show tonight, part of our Patreon family, part of our Dead Air family. And this lovely individual is going to introduce this to an extension of her family as well. Ken, if you want to go ahead and introduce who's joining us that we know and love so much.
It is definitely a member of the family. She is a repeat offender here on Dead Air. We've had her on many, many times, and love talking to her, love getting her perspectives, and just enjoy just shooting the breeze with her. So let's bring in Cheryl Plumb.
There she is.
Hey. Thanks for accepting me back. I wish I could say this was the first time I've been called a repeat offender. So we'll see how this goes.
We heard nothing. I know nothing.
It's a fun term.
We were never here.
Fantastic. So you want me to introduce my friends?
We certainly do.
Let's
We
not
certainly
rush.
do.
Let's get into how you guys first met, how this all came about.
So I have investigated with this couple on multiple occasions. And the thing about them is we have a lot of the same ways of doing things. They bring a very positive vibe to everything they do. They're so passionate about the paranormal and trying new things and really connecting with whatever is there and letting that lead us in our investigations. And I am just so excited to bring them and meet my new family.
Please do so. Let's introduce them.
Well, I am proud to introduce my friends and soon to be yours from Spirit Chasers, Michelle Piscata, psychic medium, and tech extraordinaire, Paul Alexandrian.
Hey,
Hi.
welcome
Thanks
to
for
Dead
having
Air.
us.
All right, we don't need Cheryl anymore. We'll get rid of. No, I'm just kidding. We'll bring her back.
Saw that. I saw that.
Well, I'll tell you what, guys. Thank you for number one coming on the show. We appreciate you being here with us on such short notice. But it couldn't come at a better time, considering you all have been doing some heavy-duty investigating as of late. Correct?
Yep,
Yeah,
we've been on the road the last few days.
it's been pretty crazy down at the Glen Tavern, and Wednesday when we were there, it was kind of interesting. And then we, just by coincidence, we ended up going back on Friday, and we got the last room. It was sold out, and we were headed home, and my wife was like, you know what, let's just go to the Glen Tavern again.
And then we had to have Cheryl join us because it's just not the same investigating without Cheryl.
And then there's a cool twist to that room. We'll tell you a little bit later.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, you guys have been busy. You've been hammering at it, but as recently as Friday,
Yep.
as you alluded to. And the good news is we got some clips from that, which we should always mention right at the top. At the right time and the right place, we've got almost a dozen evidential clips to share with you, the audience, tonight. And, of course, they'll be setting up exactly what we're looking at. So they were kind enough to pass those along. And I went fishing, and I got a couple of my own that I said, I said to myself, we need to see this. So looking forward to it, folks. But again, thanks for joining us. Nice to meet you. And you are absolutely among friends tonight. So take your shoes off, put your feet up, and the next 2 hours will be fun.
All right.
I told you, don't worry.
I'll throw out the first question, and then I will exit stage left so that Ken can have you to himself. But tell us how both of you got started here in the field.
Go ahead, Michelle.
Well, actually, I started first, and then my husband was just really paranoid that I was going to bring spirits home. And then I took him on his first investigation with me at a hotel in Port Costa, California. It's called the Burlington Hotel. And that's where we got our first EVP together. And he was hooked after that. Now he's into it even more than I am and has bought tons of equipment.
Well, I have to say something about the Burlington hotels. We're avid motorcycle riders.
Oh, that's true.
We rode for like 10 years all over, Street Vibrations, all the events. We used to go out on the weekends to Port Costa, which in California, it's known to be haunted, right? But we used to go to this saloon called the Warehouse. But right across the street was the Burlington Hotel. I never noticed it. But Michelle, just out of the blue, she says, hey, Paul, you want to go over there and do a paranormal investigation? And I was like, okay, because, I got to go with my wife. And plus, it's a bonus. I'm going to go up there and have a beer, right, at the Warehouse. And then I'm going to go across the street and then do some investigating. This hotel it was amazing. And I'll let Michelle take it over and let you know what she got.
No, I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, Paul got freaked out because the spirit actually said his name. So
yeah, when I first heard the spirit for the first time, I was like, wow, I didn't know that we could record and get the spirits on recorders. So that was the thing. It was like, okay, well, now I know they exist, right?
Mm-hmm. Now you can. So let me ask you this. Were either of you involved with any other groups coming into this, or did you just start ground up by yourselves? Let's go out and do this.
Well, I was in some groups, and I know Cheryl was too. And then we met a mutual friend, and then we kind of got hooked with him doing a lot of streaming and stuff. So we've been in a lot of locations with Jim.
Mm-hmm. And I know that Michelle, in your bio, which I am unashamedly kind of jumping around and reading off right now, you came to the idea when you were younger that you had a certain ability, which is not unusual and something I always like to ask people, because in our viewership, there are people who do have kids that they feel may have some kind of ability. So this is always good to ask somebody how they navigated that at a young age. So if you want to kind of throw that out there, Michelle, and sort of advise people, like, what was your situation like? Because everyone is a little bit different.
Yeah. I know everyone probably kind of gets this thought when it first happens, like, am I just imagining this? Is it just a coincidence? And, it just keeps happening over and over again. You're like, okay, this is undeniable. And, even one time my mother jokingly called me a witch because English wasn't her first language, but somebody had called on the phone was my uncle, and I said, "Oh, that's Uncle Frank." And she picked up the phone and looked at me like, "How did you know that was Uncle Frank?" And little things like that happened. And then we lived in a house that was haunted, and I was the only one that had experiences. So I felt kind of like, why am I the only one that's feeling this? So I kind of kept it to myself. But it really, truly, it wasn't until they started having the paranormal shows on TV that I really felt like, oh my gosh, this happens to other people. And if it wasn't for like Ghost Adventures and some of these other shows, I wouldn't have realized that this can happen. And I decided at that point, I really didn't want to live in fear because I knew I was going to be moving around a lot. I didn't want to be in another haunted house. So I really, dug deep on taking classes on protection and, psychic development. And then I really was like so interested in it. And then I started going into mediumship. I took some courses. Actually, I took an extensive course with a tutor from the Arthur Findlay School in the UK. And I really just kept my education up to really hone my skills.
Mm-hmm. I know, like, as far as asking you about mentorships, first of all, you're in great hands with Cheryl. And I know that you probably worked with Melissa too.
Yes, we love Melissa.
Yeah.
And so this is what I mean by being among friends, because we've all kind of known each other for a while.
And I mean, they've been investigating longer than I have, even. I think. When did you guys get started?
I don't believe that for a minute, Cheryl. You
Might
go
have
to the late 60s, right?
Yeah, we don't like to say years because it just shows how old we are. But yeah, so I founded Spirit Chasers Paranormal Society in 2017 with Apollo Ghost Productions. So I let that roll for a little while, and then I started doing shoots all over with Michelle.
But I think I really got started back in 2008, probably. That was when I first started investigating with different meetup groups and stuff. And
yeah, I'm not sure that rolling with Mom and having her drop us off at abandoned buildings flashlights really counts as investigations, but it was
that does count, by the way.
Yeah, well, I guess it does.
Don't bring anything home with you, Mom.
I can't say that I haven't, but the more the merrier. It's just a joke here.
Well, one tip was we know between me and Michelle that the spirits pop in and they pop out. So, they're free to travel. They have free will, There
you go. There's that term that I use every week. Good on you, Paul. Free will.
You guys would get along. I knew it.
Come and go as they please. I want to ask all of you this question. As far as mentorship, where, like, we know where the interest came from. We know what the catalyst for all this is. But what were you consuming in terms of educating yourself further than just being on site? I mean, clearly, Michelle, I mean, at one point here, you have a course in mediumship, various classes with another past guest of ours on Dead Air, Lloyd Arback, who we've had on a couple of times, noted parapsychologist, Patty Negri. So these are not people that are unfamiliar to the audience out there. But we'll go around the horn here because I'm curious as to what, again, you consumed to kind of supplement the idea, well, let's go out and do this. But there's always, well, how are we going to do this? So what were you picking off the shelf from different people?
Go ahead.
I mean, really, for me, it's just, I have these questions that I need answers to. And I just kind of have a little piece of everyone's, style and technique, like Patty. I took a seance class from her, and I've actually even been to a seance at her house, Patty Negri. And so, I really picked up a lot on her. We did a seance here, and my dad came through on the polter pod. So, I mean, that's just little bits and pieces from everyone and kind of throw it together and experiment. We do a lot of experimenting.
I do have to add one thing to that too, because at being a paranormal investigator and a cinematographer and a producer, and just being with Michelle, because she's very intuitive, and she loves to investigate. And if we don't investigate for a while, she says, Paul, we're about due. We got to go and investigate. It's like this itch you have, and you just got to go. And it's exciting. I mean, I don't know how to put it, because, if a lot of people haven't done it, you don't realize, like, when you get real evidence of a spirit being present, it's kind of exciting. And you know what? We don't, like, there's a lot of things that people can interpret it to them to be. But I just wait for the evidence, wait for the facts to come in, and we'll see about what all the television shows say or whatever. But it's our experiences as a whole, as paranormal investigators, cinematographers, and producers. And that's what we want to do. We want to get the word out. We want more people to be out there doing what we do, because the more people that do it, then they're going to open up more places for us to investigate, right?
Yeah. Well, you see, you're a paranormal investigator when your spouse turns to you and says, hey, I think we're about due. But it means something entirely different.
I am not a paranormal investigator.
Yeah, exactly.
We need to get out on the road again. Hey,
My husband
Cheryl,
would
if
never.
we've ever talked about this before, I beg your pardon, but I want to turn the same thing to you. Where did you kind of, who or what did you kind of pick the brains of getting to where you are now?
So I've been playing pool my whole life, pretty much. And one thing that I've learned is you don't have to work with the best in the business to learn something. So, I mean, I started with going
I'm proof of that to you.
You got that right. So I started going to these, haunted weekends with Strange Escapes, and I learned from Adam Berry, Amy Bruni, Britt Griffith, who is a spectacular investigator, Grant Wilson, and that moved me on to meeting other people, and Jay Bloomke after the pandemic, and doing Dark Zone, and then actually filming an episode in Scotland with the Dark Zone, and then I met, Jim Martin, and did a little work with the Spirit Realm Network, and that's where I met these guys. But it seems like everybody has a different way of investigating, and I love taking like little bits and pieces of how they do to improve my own way of investigating, because we could all improve on something, right? But I really, really enjoy kind of doing new things and seeing how it turns out and how it can improve our investigation and get us deeper into whatever's happening at the place.
Yeah. No, I mean, I know, because I kind of feel the same way after 50 years kicking around. If I stop learning anything, it'll be because I just shut it down, because there's so much out there. I mean, I don't feel the same way about things that I probably did 5 months ago, because something comes along and you go, oh, I never thought of that.
Mm-hmm. And we've also talked about this. It's like, I might get a piece of evidence where I'm like, it absolutely says this, like in my head, this is what it says, but somebody else has a completely different interpretation. So what I think is like 100% proof, like this is what's going down, somebody else might interpret it different, and that's okay. So I love bringing forth different kinds of evidence to see, like, okay, what do you think about this?
Mm-hmm. Well, we're proof of that. We were going round and round for about an hour this afternoon.
He was like, what does this one say? What does this one say? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not sure. We're completely on opposite sides.
But the good news is we have a couple of clips when we get to them later on where we're going to turn to you, our audience, because a couple I think are very subjective. We're going to ask what you think, because maybe you can come up with something that we couldn't. So let me go into this now. So you start doing this and everyone consumes what's out there in the media. It could be streaming, YouTube, network shows. My God, if you're going to go back a few years, every network had a paranormal show. What is the first thing, Michelle and Paul, that you learned in this where you had that come to Jesus moment where you said, this is nothing like television. This is nothing like, the edited, sanitized kind of versions of this exciting show where something's happening all the time. I mean, when did you get to that point where you just said, nah, this is not that?
I think for me, when you start doing the investigating and you basically have to get to the nuts and bolts of it, right? I mean, it's not all what the TV, the glamorous thing that they show, right? I mean, sometimes it could get a little dark, and sometimes it's light, right? I mean, but when you're going through your evidence, and you're going to say, "Oh wow, I got to go back there and ask the real questions because there's questions upon questions now because I got the evidence to prove it. I know the names of the ghosts." I know where they reside. I know how to get in contact with them, and I know what devices to use because on this last investigation at the Glen Tavern Inn, it was like some of the devices didn't work exactly like they did at the Holbrook or the Stanley Hotel or, anywhere else, the Manresa Castle, all of these different places that paranormal investigators get to go in their region, and they get to go frequently. They could get to know the course, right? They could get to know how to contact the ghosts. And once you start doing that, it's pretty much kind of like the television shows, but it takes us, between me and Michelle, when we get there, it's like we get stuff within like three minutes. Like we're there, we have to start shooting right away because Michelle's so antsy. She's like, "You got the cameras rolling, you got the cameras rolling. We gotta go. What's taking so long? I already opened up the veil. What are you doing?" Like she's like all over me. So she pushes me, and then I just let her kind of lead, which is a good thing because she's more of the spirit magnet, I should say.
Well, I mean, it's like we don't need to stay at a location for days on end. I mean, usually I would like the recorder to be on when we first go in the room because sometimes the first 15 minutes is the best EVP. It just depends. And if you wait too long to get started, then the kind of energy kind of dies down. But so that's the difference I've really seen between the shows and what we do. And we don't spend 3 days at one location. Sometimes we only investigate for like 3 hours maximum.
Yeah.
And we'll have tons of material. So.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely subscribe to the Spirit Chasers channel because he posts a lot of stuff. So as far as when I first started investigating, I was like, I'm dead inside, right? Like nothing happens to me. I didn't get an EVP until like my 4th investigation. It was like, so it was different for me because TV was like, oh my God, this is happening. And I'm walking around my first haunted location like, nothing's happening. Like, what's going on? But nowadays, it seems like between hanging out with people like Paul and Michelle and Melissa, like they are magnets. And I'm wide open, baby. I get so much right off the bat now. It is better than TV.
Well, this thing I mentioned that about this video I did yesterday. It's not a promotion for the video, but I just had this thing for the last 2 days. There is so much more to sitting in a room and saying, are you a man? Are you a woman? Did you die here? Did you, and we've been talking about this on the show. I'd love to know what you guys think. When you go to a place that's iconic and you can insert your own location in there, there have been literally thousands of people who have come before you into this place. Do you acknowledge the idea that the same questions have been asked time and time and time again? So it's like, how can we set ourselves apart? What are the questions we can ask that might actually pique some interest here rather than the same old thing?
Well, first off, we're like very courteous and we make sure that we introduce ourselves and then ask them if we can get their name so we can address them in a proper manner. But we bring a lot of fun. I mean, we have a lot of fun and we, invite the spirits to have fun with us too. So I think that's like our approach to make it kind of different and unique. And we also let the spirits have free time to just say whatever they want. We just open the floor for them.
Right.
I think a lot of things are unknown, right? I mean, when you get there, there's a feeling in the air. When you get there, you never know what you're going to get. So I think obviously the ghosts sit there, they watch you, they know your energy. And so they're feeding off of that. And sometimes they like a person and they'll kind of like wait for that person to ask a question. That's why we always introduce ourselves, because we want to be polite. We want to introduce everyone in the group. And then that opens the door for a conversation. Just like if you met somebody on the street, right? I'm going to introduce yourself. You're going to say, hey, look, this is who I am. So it's kind of like opening yourself up.
Yeah, I mean, and one of the things that I covered, and I love to get somebody else's point of view on this, is that oftentimes you have those nights where maybe the lights don't light up, or maybe the recorder is just pure static. And people tend to walk away disappointed. Are you ever concerned that you're passing along the feeling to the spirits, maybe unwillingly, that you failed me, you did nothing?
Yeah.
How they must feel about that.
Yeah, we had kind of gone into and Paul opened the circle, and we kind of got going. We had some things happen, and then all of a sudden it just felt like down. So we're like, hey, let's clear the space, let's go walk it off, like kind of get our energy back up, and then we'll come back to this. Because it was obvious that they were kind of feeding off of our low energy, because we definitely started to go down at one point right at the beginning.
And it's weird because we all felt it. And Miss Cheryl basically said, you know what, it's kind of dying at this point in time. Let's walk out of the room. Let's go upstairs where we know it's haunted. When we went up there, I'll let Cheryl finish the story. It's amazing at the Glen Tavern Inn. I mean, absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
So when we got up to the third floor, Ken, we did recently do an episode, me and Melissa, where we just went and we were going to go and hang out with a friend, and we just stayed at the Glen Tavern. We weren't going to investigate, and it was room 301. I kept saying 305, but it was 301.
Yeah.
We slept in 301, not even supposed to be haunted, and cat ball started going off. We put out REM pods going off. Like, I got voices like crazy, and they were saying awful, awful things. F you, get the F out, get out, get out. Well, all the rooms were booked up there, and it was for like a 70 or a 65th anniversary, high school anniversary, like reunion thing. So I was like, okay, I'm trying to be quiet here, but I really got to like see if anybody's going to answer me. So I just pressed record on my DR60 in front of that door, and the first thing you hear is get out.
Right.
So we walked down to 307, and hey, do you remember me? Do you need anything while we're here? Like, can we do anything for you? And we got something.
Exactly.
It did. You thought it said like something like "I love you," and I'm like, "Oh my god, I love you too." But no matter what it was still like, okay, I recognize you. You're safe. Like, we'll let you know.
I gave Ken that clip, and the weirdest thing about that clip is because Ken didn't see the first part of it. So the first part of it was that since we were in 306 and 307, this thing just came to my mind. And I wasn't sure that if, days before I was thinking about this, that the spirits can't read my mind. Right. So I'm like, okay, well, they can't read my mind. And then they proved me wrong. It was so weird because I got this word and all it was I love you. So when we got back over to 107, we did a review. Cheryl, she started the recording and it said, get out. Then I was like, oh my God, that was great. What weird. So then we went down there to the 306 and 307. And then it said, I love you before I said, I love you. And that was the weirdest part. And then, so I just shot that clip over to Ken. So he's got it.
Oh yeah. I'd love to see what you guys think of that one.
Beat you to it. Just as a public service announcement to Morgan, yes, that is Cody and Satori in chat. And you need to subscribe to Dead Air because every other Thursday they have their own show on here.
Yes.
And you will be able to see them live. Okay, so moving on. My kind of, there they are. Yeah, that's them. Yeah, that's them. Well, here's the thing about spirits. You don't know if they're retaining human qualities. You know how life is. Sometimes you just don't hit it off with somebody.
Exactly.
Other times, for all you know, you may remind them of someone they knew in their life. You know, maybe facially, mannerisms, personality. So I think when people talk about some people being spirit magnets or ghost magnets, that may have more to do with it than, you know, some kind of the way your brain is wired, because I think they pick up on intention. And it's like, well, she seems nice. I think I'm going to talk to her. Him, not so much. You know?
We've had that at the Amador County Jail, where I would ask a question and nothing would happen, but Paul would say something and they'd, pop right out and, want to have a full blown conversation. So there's definitely places like that, like especially places that are not used to having women around. Like, I'll go into Castle, like it was almost all men, and a lot of different locations like that.
Yeah. I mean, if we knew, we'd bottle it and sell it. Like, what's the magic question? What's the magic approach? We don't know. The only thing we can do is bring the best of ourselves into a situation or a location, and hey, keep our fingers crossed that something's going to happen. When you don't get results, though, it does not mean that the investigation wasn't successful. I think people are a little bit too ride or die on the idea, I need a voice, I need a recording, I need something, I need a video clip. And the reality of it is, it just doesn't work out that way sometimes. But as long as you're doing the right thing, what you're supposed to, that's a successful investigation. At least that's how I define it. Would you agree?
Yeah. And that's exactly the same thing I kind of felt about our investigation on the USS Hornet. Like, I felt like it was going to be more active and I was a little bummed out. And then people like Joseph hit me up like, hey, man, that was great. And I was like, it was, wasn't it? Because, just in the moment, I was like, I'm not getting enough to satisfy me. But it really wasn't bad. A lot of things happened. We got a lot of responses. We got to check out this amazing old battleship. I mean, come on. Yeah. Couldn't have been better.
And the bonus is, even if we don't get the spirits to talk to us, we have a good time.
We really do.
I think that was the key of it too. And the energy just in the room when we did the Winchester Mystery House was a good one with Jim. Of course, Cheryl was there. Patty Negri was there. A lot of other people were there. And so when you get too many people in a room, sometimes you can't get any answers from the spirits, right? Because there's too many people, there's too much energy going on. Mm-hmm. So I think if you have a smaller group, and you get the right mix of people together, and you do have the right equipment that, like Cheryl, she loves her recorders. And she's the DR60 Pro. I told her that she was. So I put mine down and let her just use hers the rest of the night.
I so appreciate that coming from you, especially because you're like, you go through all these, you have all these different recordings, you have all this different stuff. So thank you. That's amazing. But we had like the perfect storm when we were at the Westerfeld Mansion. We had you guys, great energy, me, Melissa, like Jim was in a great mood. We had a brand new gal that had never done an investigation in her life. And so she was completely ecstatic because the first time we got something, which was in the first 10 minutes or whatever, it was just like, oh my God, what is happening here? And we just, man, you go to a place thinking that it's going to be, satanic worship. And, I'm all worried because I wasn't in a great place with the moving and blah, blah, blah. And it was the most joyous investigation ever.
It was weird. Like, it was weird joyous, Yeah. It wasn't dark at all. They ended up saying Cheryl's name and then my name randomly.
I told him to get mad if I did.
Yeah. I mean, that was a great investigation. So much, great evidence. It was just like weird that we would get that much. But when me and Jim, Michelle, and then our little puppy Cavalier paranormal investigator, Ginger, came with us, she's a very, very interesting dog. We've took her on so many investigations with her since she was just like, I don't know, 12 weeks old. But it just goes to show, even if you have animals with you, they still want to talk. We took her on the first investigation at the Glen Tavern Inn with the Spirit Realm Network.
We've been to the Glen Tavern 7 times, and I have to say, we have never not got activity. And we thought only the 3rd floor was haunted.
one
We've
of
been
those
on the second floor once, and then this time was the first floor, which it's not even reportedly haunted. That whole entire hotel is haunted.
Yeah.
We're all lucky to be able to have it because, I mean, there are places that have been, in our lives as a group that we can say the same thing about. You never walk away without, even if it's one thing, and you get something like that. But I think if you hang around in this field long enough, you got the right approach, eventually you will find your tribe, right? You will find the people will come into your life that you just seem to gravitate towards and them to you. And then when you start working together, um, it becomes not only so much easier, but so much more productive as well because everybody knows each other's personality. You fill in the gaps. So, if you're lucky enough to have those people, I mean, hang on to it because it's going to pay dividends. It really will. I want to go over some of the roster here, Paul. Excuse me a minute while I turn my back on you. USS Hornet, Stanley Hotel, the Victor Hotel in Colorado. By the way, the Glen Tavern Inn. I feel like I've investigated the Glen Tavern and I've never been there because guys just keep feeding me this stuff. The Ledger Hotel in California, Winchester Mystery House, Point Sur Lighthouse.
Oh, that was a good one.
Yeah.
It's an interesting one. The Old Washoe Club, Bonanza Saloon, the Silver Queen, McKay Mansion. I'm just skirting the ones with the wow factor. The Mizpah Hotel, Zach Bagan's Haunted Museum, Wolf Creek. There's something you guys have to tell me something. Manresa Castle in Washington. There's another one. Wow. So you guys have gone to some heavy hitters here. Before I start asking you about what grabbed you about certain places, what is it about Wolf Creek I've heard of before, and it might not have anything to do with the paranormal? Who is synonymous with that place? Wolf Creek.
Well,
Nah?
Ghost Adventures went there.
Who did?
Ghost Adventures. Oh, but there was a writer. You're right. There's a writer or somebody. Who was the writer? There was a famous writer.
God, it's been years and years and years since we did that investigation. And
forgot the town of Golden.
Yeah.
That's right around the corner.
Yeah. But yeah, famous writer was there. If you look up Spirit Chasers Paranormal Encounters, Wolf Creek Inn, you can find out. And you could also Google it. If you go to that investigation, not only did we did that hotel and we got relevant answers, right? Back from the spirit box. And that was at the second floor there. I mean, that amazing investigation. But we went to the town of Golden along the way. Yeah. And it was crazy what I got in the schoolhouse. So yeah,
it's like an abandoned ghost town, little town type thing. But we went at night. There was bats and it was pretty crazy.
Yeah, see, these guys aren't afraid. They're not afraid. They'll just run into something.
It was pretty scary with the bats flying around. I mean, there were some pretty big ones out there at night.
I don't do bats. We've been to a couple locations that had bats, and I just hightail it out of there. I don't like them flying by my hair.
Michelle's afraid they're going to get stuck in her hair.
Seriously. Wow. Okay, now the good part about it is, for me anyway, is you're staying on screen while I leave for a little while, and I'm going to bring in George here to take us to the top of the hour and beyond. Folks, when we come back, we are going to start getting into a couple of questions from chat and those video clips that you promised. So we'll be back for that in a bit. Take it away, George.
Well, thank you very much, Ken. I appreciate it. Again, tonight, Michelle, Paul, and Cheryl joining us, all from the Western Hemisphere, F-E-A-R. And again, I enjoy when you guys come in because it is, foot soldiers are such an integral part of this field. And that's what anybody that's out there traveling, doing this, putting their time in, making discoveries, not only as far as evidence, but discoveries about themselves as investigators. You do hone your skill. You do pick up and throw away different traits of what it is that you do. But speaking of travel, I want to go down that route just a second also with Cheryl. We talked about it on Town Hall, Cheryl, but you just came from abroad
I
and
did.
hit a lot of cool places. Why don't you tell everybody about that? Because I think it's amazing.
Well, it was an absolute non-paranormal trip, but of course I had to bring a little bit of spooky with me. So one of my best friends from grade school, her family was doing a cruise to Europe. She needed a second
It
person,
was all non-paranormal.
non-paranormal. But you know, I got to bring a recorder. I got to bring.
We don't want you here. And Michelle, Paul, let's talk about good places to.
Yeah,
All
got this
right,
my nose.
but the places you went were awesome, weren't they?
The places were incredible. So much history, castles, and buildings that have been there since the 1600s, the 1500s. I mean, it was just completely boggling my mind how these places have stayed as nice as they are for as long as they are. But we did end up in Paris at the catacombs on our very end of the trip. And that was the most incredible place I think I've ever been in my life, because they had to make room because the cemeteries were all full. So they put about 5 million people's worth of bones down this hole and created this amazing ossuary stacked. The walls are stacked now with skulls and femurs. And then all of the rest of the bones are kind of thrown behind it. But they have beautiful, it's like art set up. You could see pictures in the walls that are made of the bones. And I saw one child on that tour. Granted, there's people walking by us because I'm slow as hell. I'm going to make sure I get everything I can out of this.
Right.
And with my trusty recorder on my arm, I mentioned the child when I did see him, because I was like, how is somebody going to let a 2-year-old run around all these remains? I was kind of like, you keep them close. Like, don't let them just go and touch and like, these are old, like, human remains. You got to respect it. So earlier I was looking at a specific place and we were talking about the colors, because the waters drop down on these bones. And I get a little kid that says, Papa. You can literally hear, it's a little kid just goes, Papa. Freaked me out. And I've heard a lot of EVPs. And then within about 30 seconds, we're talking about a skull and crossbones part, and you hear another obvious child, sounds like it's whispering right next to me saying, they're kids. So, I mean, for a non-paranormal trip, stunning for a non-paranormal trip.
What did you expect? Look where you went.
Unbelievable. And if I could have trusted, I would have brought a whole nother bag of, stuff, but I didn't want to get them all into it too.
Let me just put you guys on the spot real quick and ask this question, because I am of the ilk of the believers out there. No matter where you go, and you guys in a conversation with me the other day when we were doing a connection test, talked about places I've been to, the places that you've been to have been introduced tonight. But I wonder, because in my belief, it is that the spirits can roam. There may be what's considered earthbound spirits, but in my experiences, and Cheryl could probably delve into a little bit more with you guys in a casual conversation sometime about Cody and Satori, but there have been just absolute epiphanies with their particular type of communication and what we found out. And I really honestly believe that no matter where you're at, if you are patient enough and you've got the right spirit connection on the other side, you could bring anyone forth, to come and communicate with you. Is that something that would interest you, to be able to say, I want to speak to somebody from the catacombs below Paris, but I'm not going to leave California and see if there's something like that happens. Would that kind of fit into your wheelhouse of an experiment you'd be interested in?
I mean, yeah, we kind of did something similar to that when we were at the Stanley Hotel, where we called one of my friends that couldn't investigate with, and we had her on speakerphone, and we did an investigation. She was in California, and we were in Colorado. So, yeah.
But I mean, can you any kind of projecting yourself to a haunted location to try to connect with the spirits that are there?
I think that's definitely possible. I mean, I've seen locations psychically before I've even been there.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
there's your answer, George.
Something that we've actually been experimenting with our Patreon town hall members with remote viewing. And it's quite interesting what the results are with regards to that. And I wonder again whether or not, and this is a question for Paul because he is the equipment guy, you want to document these things that you're experiencing, you want to document the evidence that you're collecting, but do we as a field tend to get away from that number one piece of equipment, ourselves, our minds, when we do this? Or are you trying to find a balance between the two of you?
I think the balance goes in between both. It goes in between Michelle and I, but it's whoever's feeling what. And also, I mean, when you get there, you never know what you're going to feel anyway. I mean, it could be one way one day, it could be one way another day. Kind of like the Westerfield. When we had went there, I went to the second floor, and I was walking up with Jim Siegel and Jim Martin on the second floor, and that was just a walkthrough, right? So we're walking through, and then all of a sudden, above this chandelier, I see a white mist, and then it disappeared. I go, "Hey, did you guys see that?" Nobody else saw it. I saw it, and I asked everybody else if they saw it. So sometimes the ghosts want to appear. So certain investigations are treated differently. But yeah, I mean, you never know from different investigations that you go to what the spirits are going to provide you and what evidence you're going to be able to document. That's why you have to use the recorders, and you have to actually use the cameras, because you have to do the playback to prove or debunk anything that's, not paranormal, right?
Right. And when I did go on all these amazing tours in Germany and Paris, and I was going into these incredible cathedrals, and I was touching every rock that was available, and maybe picking up a few. So I mean, just that connection with the land and the stone. Like I didn't feel like I needed necessarily any equipment there, which I always need equipment. But see,
Right.
when I wasn't like in it for like, I need to record this, just feeling the energy was enough for me.
What is the crossover, would you say, Michelle, for Cheryl to, it sounds like she's attempting psychometry, but not going past the aspect of the energy. Is that something that the two of you have worked on or should work on?
Well, I usually what I really get excited about investigating is going to a location and doing a walkthrough and being able to feel like what's there. When we went to Ms. Paw, it was during COVID, and so the docent, not the docent, but the hostess or whatever,
Patty,
the person at the hotel, yeah, her name was Patty. She took us to a room. She's like, "What do you feel in here?" And I, walked through the room, and I said, "There's an old man in here, and he sits on this table over here, and he's kind of a nasty guy. He's kind of crabby." And she, in our video, we have this all documented in there. She goes, "Oh my gosh, I did not tell Michelle anything," and she just exactly pinpointed what all of the workers feel in this restaurant. That there's an old man here that gives them a bad time in the exact table that I was pointing to. And so that's, usually when we go somewhere, I'll walk around and I'll be, this is the room we need to investigate in. I feel that there's this man here or there's woman here, and I can give a little bit of description. And sometimes I don't feel anything, but then sometimes we still do get some stuff. It's just because maybe that spirit isn't as strong. But that's why even if I don't feel anything, we still go through an investigation, because you just never know.
But I think the coolest part about that is when Michelle does feel something, and then we're like, okay, well, you know what? Let's turn on the Ovilus and ask a question, see what we get back, and then we get some pretty good evidence to back up the story, right? And then Patty tells us the story about, how two men came up through underneath the ground, and then they robbed the place, and then the guy underneath got handed the money, and then he shot the other two guys. And Michelle was like, "Oh yeah, I feel 3 men here." I'm like, "Oh,
yeah."
No
and
wonder.
I feel like there's a hole, and there was a hole.
It kind of filled in the gaps,
Yeah, that's kind of exciting.
Paul, as a documentarian now, you're talking about the evidence of the people working there having experiences. Does it ever dawn on you and the possibility in the future to possibly set up cameras during those hours that the employees are there? And this is not the first time we've had something like this come about, where we've heard people who are doing construction and all of a sudden they're having experiences. People who are painting having experiences. It always seems to be the innocent bystander who catches these things. So they're not actively seeking it out. It just presents itself. And I want you to answer that question, whether or not that's something you've thought about. But Michelle, I want you to answer that question afterwards in the form of, why is that more of a common, I think, than the experiences that we have investigators with all of our equipment seem to have? The innocent bystander seems to be more common. Paul?
So that's very interesting. I have two good key points. This last investigation that we were on, you hit the nail right on the head with that, because at the Glen Tavern Inn, they're starting to do construction there on the first floor, right? When we got in on Wednesday, they're doing construction. She's like, "Oh, I'm sorry that they're building a gift shop, blah, blah, blah." So we did the 308, and then we came back to do the 107. And then, we did the investigation. At the end of the investigation, we went to the heart-shaped jacuzzi tub, extravaganza little room there, and which was kind of crazy. When I got in that room, I'm like, "Oh my God, Michelle, you're not going to believe what's in here." And so she looked, she goes, "Oh my God." So anyways, we were in that room, we were doing EVPs, and the EVPs weren't that great that night. But then the next morning, we got I know that Ken said not to make it dark, but yeah, we got this voice on the DR60, and it said something like, "We want you to die." And we were like, "Whoa, that's not good." I could play that for you too if you want, but
maybe he said diet or something less bad than diet.
So that went dark on us, and obviously the construction portion of it, maybe that was part of it. Maybe that stirred him up. You got a good point, George. I didn't realize that. But then also at the Stanley Hotel, there was a guy that died. Again, that investigation was long ago. I think the guy's name was my name. That's why I remember. He got stabbed at a bar, according to the docent, because we went on the ghost tour. And then she was like, and I was like, that's a cool ghost tour. You want to join us for an investigation afterwards? She's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Okay, cool." So then she was telling us about the history about the sound area on the second floor, that he built that place. So he was kind of connected to that place. Mm-hmm. Well, he was in a bar, and then he ended up getting stabbed, and then he died. And then, so we were doing EVPs down there, and then we were kind of like, just doing EVPs and stuff like that. I think that we got his voice on there, and that triggered him, because I'm an electrician, he's an electrician. And then all of a sudden that was like a trigger word for him, Yeah,
what a Lincoln. I'm going to ask you, Michelle, to hold your response to my question till we come back from the break. We're at the top of the hour. Ken, if you want to come back on screen also. And when we come back on the other side, I'll have Michelle answer that question. And then we have some evidence to play for you guys. And you definitely don't want to miss this. Stick around, guys. We're going to go to break right now. We'll be back on the other side. You're watching Dead or Live on the Dead or Full Spectrum channel. We'll be back right after these messages.
We'll be right back after these commercial messages.
Now showing on Dead Air Full Spectrum YouTube channel.
New episodes of Extremely Strange coming soon.
Every alternate Thursday on our channel.
Every Thursday. Opposite. Well, that was weird.
In cemeteries across the world, some headstones hold more than just names and dates. They preserve cherished family recipes, etched in stone as a lasting tribute. These recipes are more than instructions for a dish. They are connections to loved ones, memories of shared meals, and a way to keep traditions alive. In this series, we'll be honoring these unique culinary legacies by bringing these recipes to life. With respect and gratitude, we'll cook the dishes exactly as they were meant to be enjoyed.
New episodes of Last Bite coming soon.
And now,
welcome to my party, we're just getting started. A life is a dream or a nightmare scarring. Hand me a drink cause I think I'm going all in. Get me a shrink who can catch me when I'm falling. Cover up my scars, flip the handlebars, crashing in my car, wake up in a bar, I'll be a superstar.
And you too can become a Patreon member. All you need to do is scrounge up $3. Go to patreon.com/Dead Paranormal. Join on board with us for all the amazing things that we have going on. Now, a bit of a change in schedule for tomorrow night for our town hall at 8 p.m. You all will have to suffer me for the duration of the town hall. Ken DaCosta has tickets to, was it Taylor Swift?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. I didn't win that lottery. Actually, Cody Satori, myself, Julie DeMay from our group are heading to see the Sox tomorrow night. We're going to a Sox game.
Oh, the White Sox?
Bite your tongue. Bite your eye. I want to see blood. Oh, we're going to go see our beloved Boston Red Sox. Actually, spend the day in Boston. Maybe take in the Museum of Science or something like that. So we're going to get culturized tomorrow, and then it'll all go to hell when we go into Fenway Park.
You know, this is just me thinking in the paranormal, because the show we're on, I'd be running EVP sessions on the street where the one brother was run over. That's Sarnaev brothers. But that's just me. I'm weird that way. But congratulations on having a night to go out with the group and having some fun taking in some of the sites. So that's awesome. So apologies to those of you that will be with me tomorrow night at Town Hall. So, but we'll have some fun. I want you guys to certainly be speaking up, talk about topically whatever you'd like to, and we'll just enjoy ourselves. But in any event, let's get back to our interview tonight, along with our family member, Cheryl Plumb. We have Spirit Chasers joining us tonight also, Paul and Michelle, both again from the West Coast of the United States. So we're here on the East Coast, Ken and I. So it's a conflict between the two coasts. We're going to have to deal with it. We just have to deal with it, though. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it. And going to get it back to Michelle before we get to this incredible evidence on that question that I had prior with regards to the bystanders, the non-paranormal people that are having experiences seems to be considerably higher than those of us that are out there investigating. And I wanted your thoughts on that, if you could, please, Michelle.
Well, at the Glen Tavern, I can say that the owner is concerned about having activity there, and they live there, and they know stuff is there, but they kind of want to ignore that it's there. So I know that everyone in their family has been affected by the spirits in that hotel. In fact, the stepfather doesn't even go there anymore.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah,
to have that lack of comfortableness in a place that you're supposed to be and should be, that's just not right. And sometimes it comes down to, which I'm sure you're both very well aware of, as well as Cheryl, educating and familiarizing the living with what it is going around them, because it's inescapable once they understand that.
And I mean, I know there's something with me here, so let me know if you guys ever see any shadows behind me or anything, but like totally comfortable. I have no problems.
Well,
everywhere we've lived, we've had some activity. They come in, they leave. It's nothing dangerous. It's kind of humorous. We laugh about it.
We actually call them flybys. Sometimes
By the way, real quick, wanted to talk about it. We brought it up before the show, but didn't really get into it. Your collection behind you. Do you guys want to kind of clue us in what you got there?
I'll just tilt it up a little bit. Go ahead, Paul.
Those are just props. And a lot. We haven't. I mentioned to Michelle that maybe we should take them on an investigation, but we already have so much equipment. They're just trigger objects, right? Sometimes, right? We bring. But obviously, you got the SB7 Pro, right? I mean, that just came out. I don't know if Gary Gawker made that a while back, but it's new to me because I just bought it, right? And then obviously you have the Polterpod Paranologies. So I was able to get a hold of him, and he gave me a few gadgets, which are cool, right? I mean, obviously we like that. And then everybody likes the SLS camera. Of course, we have these little recorders right here. They're not as good as a DR60, but I've used them before, and they're pretty good. They're RR240s. So I've gotten some stuff on that. And then, of course, the DR60, everybody likes that.
And that's just his equipment. I have my own little stash.
Yeah, and you got to have the stuff because, it just proves whether or not they're there or not, right? But we end up having all this stuff, and, as far as my favorite piece of equipment, the SLS, the PS7, but now the DR60 is my favorite.
I'm telling you, I was like, I would never ever spend money on one of those. No way. Guess what? Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Well, I'm going to turn you guys back over to Ken because we've got some evidence to
Go.
show our audience, and I'm looking forward to watching you from backstage as well. So, Ken, back to you.
Okay, thank you, sir. And before we do, let's get to Jeff Hilton's question for any. Has anyone here canceled or called off an investigation due to something you saw or heard that really rubbed you the wrong way? Now, I don't know. I'm going to put that back up there. I don't know if Jeff is talking about from a paranormal perspective or just an ownership perspective. So why don't we throw it all in there? Just generally speaking. Cheryl, your hand went up. You have
the only investigation I have ever canceled in my life was at the Conjuring House, and that was an ownership issue, not a spirit issue.
Yeah.
But luckily, we were able to do another location and got to do that with Cody and Satori and Ken, and it was the most amazing thing ever.
That
Most amazing thing ever.
That was. I had the pleasure of being there that night, and
He was my shoulder to cry on.
We covered everything. I sat for the first time at a seance table in my entire life.
That was your first?
That was my first.
That's
Never
amazing.
forget your first. So we decided to go ahead and do that. So my point is we came at that from everybody's different perspective, which made it cool. Michelle and Paul, how about yourself? Was there anything that ever just like, no, we're good?
I actually was doing an investigation before I met Paul at this really haunted place called the Pardee House in Oakland, California. And someone's car, it's in a dangerous neighborhood. So someone's car got broken into, and because they went out to go check their car. And so everything got kind of weird in the investigation, and we were still going to continue investigating. And for some reason, I just felt like I shouldn't stay there. I had this bad feeling. So I said, you know what, when you guys leave, I'm going to leave too. So I got in my car and I left. And about, I don't know, maybe half an hour later, the person that organized this investigation called me to make sure I got home because a riot had broken out and the police had come and they had to leave the house anyway. So they all had to get out of there. And so it was like, intuitively, I knew I had to get the hell out of there.
Doesn't suck to be a medium.
And then another situation was when Paul and I were together.
Yeah.
We were at the Mizpah and we were doing, we were using the Ovilus. And, you know, the Ovilus has a robotic voice. And all of a sudden, we got this response, hell, with like a different voice, not the robotic voice.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with that. Like, we want to talk to, the people who make this equipment and stuff like that, right? And to find out, I mean, if you ever have an answer to a question that comes back in a different voice on a machine that is kind of like robotic, but now it sounds demonic.
Right. So I felt like a spirit or a demon hijacked the Ovilus. So we just shut the investigation down.
So if you ever get Phil Chappell on this, we could, kind of like go over it with him. Maybe he could debunk it for us. I don't know.
Well, I actually saw that clip today because I was going over some of your stuff. So I know what you're talking about. I saw it. To put a fine point on this, Jeff said, I got paired up at an investigation with some people that should have stayed home. They had no skill, no respect, and nothing that could help.
That happens on paid investigations all the time. I always end up with the woman that's got 40 bracelets on, and she's like, ching, 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 ching. And I'm like, I've got audio here,
Or you get someone in a room who's like, if there's anyone here, it's like, Jesus, dial it down a little bit.
I had a lady at the Queen Mary that was like, there's a ghost cat around here. Meow, meow, meow.
Okay, so on to some evidence here. And I believe that the first few, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but they're going to be from the Mizpah Hotel. And I went in and stole these from their YouTube page. It was, I guess you guys are using the 7 on this Spirit Box.
Yeah.
And the first one I'm going to play, I'm going to tell you how I labeled it. It's building floor, where you were asking about the various floors at the place and you got a response. And that would be the thing for me, is I'm looking for a direct response in context to the question, not like, did you live in this house? And then you get spaghetti, so that's not a thing. I'm going to go ahead and play the clip because I think you recognize it, and you folks can comment on it, but it's interesting again for the context it's in. So here we go.
Where do you hang out? Do you hang out on the first floor, the basement, second floor, third floor, the building floor?
Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty direct when you say floor and then comes back as floor.
Okay, so those are the kind of things, Paul, that I look for as an investigator, because when you're scanning frequencies, blah blah blah, we all know the story, but when something is in direct response or in context to what you're asking, it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny about just having conversations within your group, and sometimes they just chime in. You could be asking your direct question to them. Sometimes they don't want to talk to you. Sometimes they do. But it's the energy in the room and the question that you ask, and then you get the hit.
Mm-hmm. We will, and I know other groups do this, we will actually use that as a technique. After we've kind of run our course for a little bit, we'll sit around and have a conversation amongst ourselves, joking, laughing, and the joking and laughing and the humor sometimes brings out, like, well, it's about time. I thought you guys had sticks up your butt for let's have a few laughs here, And humor is a universal thing, not roasting the spirits or anything, but a little bit of well-timed humor and just a bunch of people talking to each other in plain English. Sometimes we'll do that. The next clip, Paul, is one that I took and I just labeled it cooking.
I love that he just hijacked it from you guys. I love it. I love it.
So you guys know what I'm talking. Is there anything that you?
Oh yeah. That's the Glen Tavern. Yeah, that was one of the second investigation that we've been there. But I mean, when you ask questions like that, we were trying to get responses this last time, but the cook was actually upstairs in the 307, so we weren't in that room.
Okay. So
couldn't ask the same question.
Let's take a listen to this. I thought this was, out of all the words that could have been said, is the point I'm driving at, because I'm not a big user of the spirit box except for certain things, but these are the kind of things that I look for. So here it is, folks.
Did you get bored here?
Were you a cook? Cooking? Were you
Cooking? I thought you said
cooking?
cooking.
Yeah, cooking. You were cooking? What were you cooking?
Yeah, that was amazing.
Unfortunately, that's where you needed spaghetti to come through.
I'm like, that was 307. That room is very uncomfortable.
By the way, I could not sleep the rest of the night in that room. I don't know, they were attacking me or what. I could not sleep.
I couldn't either. In 307, it was either the spirits or the questionable ham and cheese croissant I had.
Hey, everyone, Brendan is here from Australia. He just entered the chat. I don't have the Australian national anthem, but I promise, Brendan, as soon as you show up, we'll all stop. Okay, now this is one I was talking to Cheryl a little bit about today, and I just named this Oliver because you got a response. Actually, you got multiple responses, but one stood out to me. Is this also at the Mizpah? All right, I'll just play it, and then you can, All right, so here you go.
Are you your show spirit?
What?
Were you never a human?
You want Michelle to ring the bell again? Sure.
Drawing in more energy from where spirits to enter? Yeah, that was the Ms. Pa.
Yeah.
The lady in red room.
Yep.
Okay, so as I take it upon myself to do, every time I did a little background research on the Mizpah Hotel and the name Oliver. So I'm going to put something up for you here, and you guys can see the bottom of the screen. You can read this, right? So rather than tell you, I'm just going to put it up there for you to read.
Oh.
Oliver is associated with the Mizpah Hotel in a story recounted by a guest on Yelp. The guest shared a personal account of running out of gas near the hotel and being helped by a good Samaritan who gave them a ride to the Mizpah Hotel. The guests mentioned that their dog, Oliver, wandered into the road, which caught the attention of the man who stopped to help.
Interesting.
Funny that it's a dog reference.
Well,
very interesting. Good find, Ken.
Passed on there, but apparently Oliver is somewhat, I'm not going to say famous, but is known around the Mizpah. Oh yeah, we remember that story. You know, the thing was the Good Samaritan never gave his name, so I don't know if they stepped into a ghost car. I have no idea. But it's an interesting story. So when I heard Oliver, I immediately went that route, and I'm like, holy crap, there isn't a...
Well, after the fact, you're getting proof of your evidence.
Now, this is one here that just for pure clarity, it's a female saying no, but I love the clarity of this over the spirit box.
Is my lady back?
Girlfriend and spirit back?
I love the clarity of that. Let me ask you a question. Paul, were you saying, is my lady back or is the lady back?
Yeah, Michelle asked the question. You know, that is, well, my lady back, right? I mean, that's what I asked, because Michelle said when we were doing EVPs way before that, there was this lady spirit that was following me around. And she was answering questions, like, and then I think Michelle kind of scared her away. She's not around anymore. So she found out who she was, and then all of a sudden she's like, I'm out of here.
Yeah, so I kept saying he got it mad about this. I think we picked her up at the Burlington Hotel. She used to say his name all the time. Paul. Like anytime we'd go investigate, there would always be a Paul. So I was teasing. Did Paul's girlfriend go away?
But we didn't finish that. You didn't finish the story for Ken about that, because he hasn't heard the EVP that I first heard.
No, I sent it to them.
Oh, you did? Yeah. So he's got that.
Yeah, you got it.
Good.
Yeah, but it's just an EVP.
That's the one that blew my mind. That was the turning point for me, Ken.
Yeah. When you had a lady chase you, follow you to different locations, say your name.
Limbo action.
Paul.
I had the keys to the whole hotel. The lady gave me all the keys to all the rooms. And so when she said, we just take a small donation of $5, I'm like, cool, $5? No way. So we went to the top floor, worked our way all the way down. Michelle came to this room. She goes, oh my God, I got this terrible headache. Like, this is the room, you know? And then so I go, whatever, like, this is not even going to happen, right? So I left. I closed the door. And then when I was going to close the door, and she said, Paul, make sure you lock the doors. And that's when she got the EVP from the ghost. And when we got home and reviewed it, I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, that's when she started saying Paul locked them. And then we kept getting Paul all the time with the same lady's voice. But we investigated.
She's putting the 2 and 2 together, and I just let her do what she's got to do, because like, I'm just the fact gathering person, you know. She's the spirit.
So you think.
Just the facts.
I try to kind of like be Switzerland in a way. I don't want to get too close. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. as mentioned earlier, sometimes spirits have a bit of an attitude, innocently. So I call this next one "Piss Off." I kind of got a kick. I apologize if by screen capturing I might have cut a little bit of the graphics off at the bottom, but hope you get a kick out of this too.
It's like they were getting close to understanding, and then obviously they. I thought it said you better watch it.
Yeah, I was kind of reluctant about posting that, but you know what? There's the good and the bad and the ugly, right?
Hey, I got literally the same
gotta,
thing. We got to piss off, and that's
I wouldn't expect anything less at a place like the Mizpah Hotel with its background.
Yeah,
and it's got to be somebody in there that's just piss off.
Well, they're nicer than 301 at the Glen Tavern Inn.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially after we left when the guys told me to die. I mean, come on, I'm not going to die. Right. Michelle reprimanded him, by the way, when we left.
I haven't heard those yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll play it for you if you want to hear it right now.
If you can get it to, I don't know how, like through your mic or how you want to do
it. I got it right here.
Yeah, let's
find it.
Serve it up.
Okay, here we go. Hold on.
I told you it was not going to be the right one. Forget it, Paul.
Yeah,
forget it.
I'll send it to you, Ken.
Okay, if you nail it down though, we got nothing but time. Feel free.
Okay,
we think we're a professional outfit here, guys.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's hard because Cheryl was mentioning too, when she tries to download it, it's a little bit different. But since we're on the computer, this and that, but we'll have to show you that next time.
Yeah,
just a tech question. What format does that recorder record in? Is it WAV, MP3? What does it record in? What's the format?
It just depends. There's literally a 2.5-inch jack that you have to put the headphone jack into, and then into whatever you're going to capture it with. So I just use GarageBand usually, or something like that.
Right.
And I can put it into whatever files that I want. Like I sent to you today. That's it.
MP3 is kind of a lossy format. I don't know. I don't know what the format they record in, but MP3 tends to compress it too much to the point that it distorts, which is why I convert everything to a WAV file.
Okay.
Regardless of what happens. All right, but that's being that. Before we completely lose the audience now on Tech Talk, this has been Tech Talk, ladies and gentlemen. Let's move on to the Glen Tavern, a place that I feel like I've been to. So
will be soon, hopefully.
First one I'm going to play is about 1.5 minutes, and this is you somebody putting the periscope down.
Yeah, that was me.
Outside of 307 and 308. The funny part about this clip, when I got it, it was like 5 seconds long. And I played it, and it was like at 10 times speed.
Yeah, it was at 500%.
So I slowed it down so we could hear some voice or whatever, but I just kind of faded in and faded out of 20 seconds of just watching this thing just to make it more palatable. So, do you guys want to, I don't want to, if you want to explain what a periscope is to folks out there who may not know this device.
Yeah, so it's basically a static detector. It's going to measure static. That's what it does. Like if you're walking with it in your hand on carpet, it'll go off. The only way that it's going to go off is if there is EMF or static, a magnetic current that's around it, right?
And it's 360, right? So it's
It's also directional,
Yeah.
correct? It'll go in the direction where that charge is coming from.
Yeah, the interesting point, Ken.
Yeah, it's Cody has one. It's a different design, but it's basically the same thing. It's just LED lights, blue, yellow, orange. Did we use that night, Cheryl?
No.
I'm not sure. But it'll go, it's multi-directional and it will tell you where the charge is coming from. Okay, this has been Tech Talk again, ladies and gentlemen. Let's just show the Periscope video for everybody.
It was lit up down there. It's pretty amazing. And I just turned it off, so. And then so I'll turn it on and see how it lights up. When I'm walking down the hallway, it's kind of like, there's the 307. There's the 306. So I'll just set it down here on the floor. And we'll see if it lights up. Any spirits here want to come out to the hallway and light that up for me? I might give you some.
I love that because it follows that line, you know?
Yeah, as we were just talking about. So those of you maybe are not familiar with this, the design is pick up static charge and it will follow wherever the charge is coming from. There you go, 360 Periscope. So I guess obviously you can see that it's moving from right to left. So why don't you tell everybody what is the significance of rooms 307, 308?
Well, they're known to be haunted, right? I mean, there's a backstory to that. So, it was funny because I had mentioned somebody got hanged, and obviously it wasn't up there. The backstory was there's a gambler that got shot. I forget which room that was in. Maybe you guys know.
Supposed to be 306.
306, okay.
Yeah, 306. And then in 307, there was a lady who was beheaded, supposedly.
In the closet.
In the
supposedly.
closet, yeah. So
we don't really these stories are true. There's definitely a man and a woman.
Yeah, so we left the camera running at one point in time. We had left the room. No way to prove if somebody was in the hallway or something like that. But the way that the voices sound.
Yeah, it sounded like not from
you
today.
Can tell that they're spirits, right? And so Michelle could tell you what they said.
Yeah, it's like a man and a woman speaking, but it's not like how we talk today. The woman's, the man says, "Kiss me," and then she says, "I told you." So it was just really weird because it's not like how we talk today.
What kind of place is this?
Yeah, and it's so weird because you never know what you're going to get,
Yeah. Sure. I mean, and listen, all these stories, some of them don't have happy endings, right? There's taking of lives and, things happen. But those kind of things are sometimes more prevalent at hotels because people don't want to do it at a familiar location. They don't want to do it at home. So they want to go someplace that's, for lack of a better word, like Switzerland, just sort of neutral. This next one, all I have to say is because it says I love you. This is again the Glen Tavern. I think this is the DR60 that you're using, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the next couple are going to do that. So check this out. This is kind of cool.
It does say I love you.
I'm going to play it again because Cheryl, that's the first time you heard that?
Yeah, I haven't seen the video. I mean, I've heard on my DR60, but it sounds even better there.
Okay, encore.
That's so fantastic.
So,
And yeah,
so for everybody out there, that's hot off the press.
Right, first time.
This is the debut. This is Friday, right?
This is Friday. And again, the whole third floor was booked. The whole place was booked. They got the last room. So we're walking the third floor, literally just like, that's why I was whispering, because I was outside somebody's room like, hey girl, you okay? Like, are you okay in there? And I get, I love you. Oh, you guys.
Yeah, but the craziest part is that it said, I love you before I said I love you. And the spirit said it.
Oh,
what's going on here?
You were talking about that before, Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This wouldn't be my first paranormal relationship. I'm just saying.
Well, it's fine. Cheryl has a bow. Aw. This is another good one. This is Paul and Michelle. And I assume, like we all do, we're kind of wrapping it up and giving our goodbyes. And you got a cool response here. So let's play this up.
Oh, that was weird. It says goodbye.
It does? Let's hear it.
Right after you say goodbye.
I should have recorded this.
Goodbye.
Oh my
right
gosh,
there.
it does. So we were wrapping up a Ouija board session. That's what the goodbye was about. Because you know you have to say goodbye.
Right. Close the board. Say goodbye.
Yep.
Yeah. That is cool. It reminds me of a recording in an EVP that I got that we just are not going to go into tonight. But the same thing happened in saying goodbye. Is that you get, okay, bye-bye, you know? And that's cool. The last two we got are just subjective. We tried today. We tried so hard today to kind of put a caption on it, but sometimes you just have to present it by saying this voice shouldn't be here. You may hear one thing, I may hear another, but sometimes you just have to let it go by saying, listen, this voice came out of nowhere. It doesn't belong there. So what you think it says, please, let us know. If you guys want to set this up, this is in a heart-shaped bathtub. Okay, and so what is happening here is, why don't you tell them what it is you're asking and why you asked it?
Well, we know that a lot of famous people have come through the inn throughout different times of life. And I think this is kind of where you had asked if Charlie Chaplin was here or anybody that filmed with him.
Well, there were a few: Steve McQueen, Charlie Chaplin, John Wayne, John Barrymore. I'm leaving somebody out, but
Houdini.
When the response came, because you asked what movie did you star in, the response came, and I mean, I cleaned this up. I went to AI. I did. But Like, yeah, can you like give me a transcription of this?
Now, full disclosure, there's a beep because your camera died, I believe, Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were having some mechanical problems.
Well, I just put a brand new battery in it too,
Yeah.
and then it died.
We
I
had
have
light-
2 cameras running at all times,
We even
just,
had
just
a
in case.
We even had a light bulb explode. Remember when we first
Yeah.
started?
Yeah.
Which led to the question, you're doing this from a heart-shaped bathtub in a room, and I asked Cheryl, the hell kind of movie are we talking about here?
When they were like, they invited me over, I thought it was just going to be this nice, clean investigation. I opened the door. There's this red bed with this whole like canopy on it. And I got these 2 professional cameras set up. And I was like, what the hell did I enter? And I was like, okay, let's go.
All right. So the bottom line is we're going to throw this out here. And I did, for your listening pleasure, really cleaned it up without altering it. And I amped it a little bit. So I don't mind playing this a couple of times. We're going to turn to the chat or you guys. What is the response? What's the name of this movie?
So let's see what happened.
Whoa.
What was that?
God, it's so dramatic.
Hey, for the benefit of the people in chat, right? And we will take your submit. I'm gonna play it one more time for you.
So let's see what happened.
Whoa.
What was that?
No clue.
2 syllables at the end. Big.
2 syllables.
I
Okay.
got nothing in the chat.
We have a lot of what in the world? Whoa. Anybody with a guess?
What did we think of that?
No idea. That's okay. We'll come back to that because I have the last clip again is going to be, what is this now?
Well, Ken, there's
yes,
one that fits it from an audio standpoint. The Bank, starring Charlie Chaplin. So if you want to play that again, see if The Bank fits in there.
Okay.
So let's see what happened.
Whoa.
What was that?
Yeah.
But I have to give that a possible. I mean, for lack of anything else. You talked to Charlie Chan. Oh, a Charlie Chan. You talked to Sidney Greenstreet. Wow. No, you talked to Charlie Chaplin. That would be awesome.
That would be awesome. Revisit 107.
One more time.
So let's see what happened.
Whoa.
What was that?
God.
Possibly. That's awesome. Okay, so the
I'm
last
going
one,
down the rabbit hole on this one.
the last one here is Cheryl's in the closet, I guess.
Here I go again.
Closet. I mean, so why are you there? What's the backstory on it?
So every time these guys seem to open that closet door, it always got really cold. And I mean, it has a vibe. It had a vibe like, what are we stepping into? You guys didn't even want to it was like you were interrupting somebody almost when you were going in there each time. So they were like, just go sit in the closet and see if you get anything. And there's definitely some positive thing.
And then when we opened it, the equipment lit up too, remember?
Oh, that's right.
I went to go get a new battery to put in the camera, and then all of a sudden I felt the cold air or whatever, obviously it's kind of suspect. Temperature is going to be different. So then all of a sudden behind me, the string lights lit up, and I'm like, oh, shoot. And I told Cheryl, and then Cheryl's like, obviously she wants to go in there, and she told me I should go in there. I'm not going in there.
I'm like, oh, cold, dark place, spooky things. Put me in coat. No, but those tripwire, like what happened at the Payne House, it's kept surging. It kept surging.
Like a strobe effect rather than a.
Yeah, like all at once.
This is 107. This is the, I don't know, it's the porn room or whatever.
That's what we were saying that it was. I go, don't tell her it's that. She might not come to the investigation. I'm like, don't ruin the surprise.
One quick question before I play this, because I want to let George close this out tonight. Did you ever show me anything previously? Did you ever bring anything onto the show from room 107?
No, we've never been in there before.
You didn't? Okay. All right.
I don't think anybody's investigated that room, to tell you the truth, except for us that put anything out there.
Same with 301. I don't know that anybody's investigated that one either.
Okay, so this is another one of those. What do you think this says? Again, just like the first one, it's clearly a voice that shouldn't be there, that doesn't belong to the investigator. So I don't know. Here you go.
Sweetie, that is terrifying.
I just heard the word "that's." I'll play it again, but that's really all I got out of it.
Sweetie, that is terrifying. I kind of felt like a Get Out kind of a presence.
I heard "that's something" and then "that's something else." You know what's terrifying? Your veins under infrared camera.
She was saying that too.
Very vascular. And I've got
You are jacked, girl.
I was like,
come on in here and say
As she got out of there, she commented on that. She's like, oh my God, my veins.
I look like
Right. If you ever need to get injections, they just need the black light. That'll get you situated.
George is going to close this up. I'll be back. Say goodnight.
Oh my goodness, you have some really great evidence there, guys, and no question about it. The passion is there as well. And I wanted to, before we close out tonight, find out about your YouTube channel and what your plans are for the future. If you guys want to share that with us.
So our plans are just to keep on going, keep on trucking, obviously the road leads us where we want to as the opportunities show up.
And we're like super behind. We have lots of investigations that are not even out there yet. So hopefully we'll be able to get those out there soon.
Yeah, we're getting more evidence as we do it. So a lot of the older investigations that we have that we need to post, that'll be coming up, and then new investigations too as well.
What are your future goals coming up as far as locations? Are there those bucket list spots yet that are still on the horizon that maybe don't seem out of reach, but it's going to take some time and planning to get to that location?
I'd say some out-of-state locations because we've pretty much covered all Nevada, Arizona. So I'm thinking, branching out further. I know they just had a event at Penn State. We haven't been there, or even out your way. So there's a lot of locations that we haven't been to that are just out of state. So we're hoping to do that more. We try to incorporate investigating with a vacation. We're like into hiking, so we'll do hiking and then we'll stay at a haunted hotel. So
because as you know, it's very draining. The spirits can drain your energy. I think they drained Michelle's energy more than they did mine on this investigation. I did a lot of the driving, but now we have to venture off to the East Coast. We have to, eventually get to your neck of the woods, obviously, and start doing some more over there because it's super haunted over there, right?
Yeah, we did talk at length the other day about St. Augustine, and yeah, you should grab Cheryl and her husband. Have all four of you come down because
Not a chance.
Well, we
what are
do
you
have
worried about the alligators or the hurricanes?
But he's just like, go have fun with your friends. Like, I'm not into that sort of
He's
thing.
like,
Go have fun. Like,
fly in solo to do that. It's an amazing experience going to these places, without question. And yes, again, I'm a believer that spirits can be summoned, called to another location where you don't have to travel as much. It was a running joke for the longest time. If your house is haunted, you just spend less on gas. You can still investigate, but it's scenic. It's the scenes, it's the atmosphere when you get a chance to go out to a place. One last paranormal question before we wrap it up here tonight, too, is the sandpaper factor. And what I mean by that is, for all of you, I can imagine, Michelle, for you for the most, but also with Cheryl and with Paul, do you have those experiences when you're investigating where your entire demeanor changes? Aggravation for no reason whatsoever, frustration for no reason whatsoever. And I've always believed, Michelle, that in those circumstances, raw emotion is the first contact with spirit before anything vocal, visible, anything else like that. People will all of a sudden get headaches, and you wonder whether or not that person died of some sort of head trauma. All of a sudden, shortness of breath. Is it tuberculosis? Things of that sort. But that raw emotion can come across in so many different ways. But a lot of the time, because we're talking about death here, you do get that frustration that comes out of nowhere. I see Cheryl nodding her head already. That's come about for you?
oh yeah. Many times. But I mean, the more I surround myself with the positive people, like the less that kind of thing affects me.
Right.
Honestly. Like, I don't let the location get me down. But people can,
Oh, no doubt. And I guess it's the same thing, Michelle, whether it's a human person, bad investigator that's along the ride with you guys, or a bad spirit that's along the ride with you guys. It still has to be observed and taken in perspective and not internalize it. Where all of a sudden you're lashing out, you're angry, you're emotionally sad. Those things will take its toll on you, especially if you're intuitive. So it's an important part for people to understand how to control that. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, I mean, I do get physical symptoms when we go places. In fact, but I do have to try to control them, or I have to try to put up a boundary so the spirits move away from me. But I can tell you right now, the worst place I felt was at Zach's Haunted Museum. I've been there during the day tour, but we went back and did the night flashlight tour, and I was nauseous in the entire museum until we got to the Jack Kevorkian room. That was the only room where I didn't feel sick to my stomach.
Best place in the house right there.
And then when we left, when we got in the parking lot, I couldn't light sage to smudge me, so I had to spray. I sprayed myself. I still didn't feel very good. As soon as we got a block away from the house, I felt perfectly fine.
But tell them what happened about, the Manson room.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so talking about the mental thing, yes. So we went into the room where Charles Manson's dentures were. When we got in there, Paul's like, come on, let's do EVPs. I said, no, I don't want to talk to Charles Manson. Charles Manson started talking in my head like he did to the people back in the day. He got in my head and said, what do you mean you don't want to talk to me? Are you afraid of me? He was weird like that. He started talking to me, and I'm like, I am out of here. I don't want to be in this room. So
and I'm going to record it.
That's like, and we do bicker sometimes. So I don't know if it's the spirits or not, but
we were so excited to go in there and do the flashlight tour because they let you have the run of the mill. When they open those doors for you to go in, you can go exactly where you want, close the door behind you, investigate that room, use your recorder, try to get the evidence of whatever. So we were like, we had a plan. We were like bolting.
We only have so much time.
It was a race to get to that room wherever we wanted to go. Whether
and it's hard because it's amazing there, man.
Yeah,
it is.
Find the celebrity room. I wanted to go into the room that had James Dean's transaxle in it, and Sharon Tate's wedding dress. I will go back just so I can go and do some EVPs, because we've been in all the places. We've been to David Oman's house where, we connected with Sharon Tate one time. And then we've been to the police, LA Police Museum, where they have the evidence box from the murders. And I mean, that's another place, like a bucket list section, that I need to do flashlight tour in. That place is incredible. That's why I said, I don't care if I like the guy. His museum's amazing.
Do you find, Michelle, a challenge when you walk into a place that really affects you in such a way that you have to leave and be a block away before it finally lifts from you, to want to go back and see if you can confront that, and not necessarily your fear, but confront that oppression? Does that motivate you to want to go back there again, or are you expecting just the same thing over and over?
Well, I mean, if I'm in an investigation, I'm not going to stop because I feel nauseous or whatever. I feel however I feel. I mean, I'm passionate about investigating. I'll just, knuckle through it. We did go to the Holbrook Hotel, and when I went in there, I could tell there was a female energy in there that did not like me. And I knew she jumped out the window. And then I told the guy that, and he was like, "You're right, spot on." And he goes, "Yes, women can't be in this room. It affects them." And so for that room, I was like, you know what? The spirits like men. I just gave the recorder to the guy. I said, "You just talk to her. I can't deal with what's this energy in here. It's just making me not feel good." But normally I will, but it was just like, it's just one room. I don't care about this room.
Yeah, we don't do girl drama.
Well, it sounds to me like you guys have a firm grip on the idea as investigators, what should be done and the proper way to do it without all the theatrics involved and surrounding it. And the perfect combination of the two of you, Paul and Michelle, from the data collection side of it with the equipment to the intuitive side of it. And I'm so glad you guys took the time to come on tonight. And I want to thank Cheryl for making this happen as well.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you,
We
George.
had so much fun meeting you all.
Meeting you guys. Ken, thank you.
Maybe the next time you guys are out with Cheryl, the two of you can teach her a little bit about pool.
I could use a little bit of help on that.
A little refresher. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And thank you all in the chat. Once again, tomorrow night for our Patreon town hall, Ken will be absent. So I will be taking the reins the entire time and making your life as miserable as possible. But I thank you guys for joining us tonight. Don't forget to hit that subscription button, also the thumbs up and a reminder bell. You guys don't hang up just yet, but we are going to end the stream at this point in time. Thank you so much for watching. My name is George Lopez, with me, Ken DaCosta. You've been watching Dead Air Live on the Dead Air Full Spectrum channel. We'll see you all next week. Take care. Bye-bye.
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats. Baby's bad, oh baby's hella bad. After her there ain't no coming back. Wanna take a run at that. I think she's feeling me, turn it up a few degrees. My imagination of her body gets the best of me. Oh gosh, she's such a tease, bitten lips.